The video that we saw earlier when Megan was showing us the school buses and the kids reuniting with their parents, that these girls were maybe in middle school or high school. We don't have an age really at this point exactly of, we know that there's more than 700 kids at that Mystic camp. However, we know that 23 are still unaccounted for, but we haven't really received anything on ages or identities or anything at this point. But these images that we're looking at, and you got to keep in mind, these rescue crews themselves are also are putting their lives in danger right now with all the high water and the debris.
And it looks like we've got Megan right now. Megan, what are you seeing?
Yeah, we are seeing, I mean, I am far away, so it's hard to see. Iris, so do they look, what age group does that look like that got it? Like 5, 6, 7-year-olds, so young girls? Okay, yeah, it looked like another group of young girls getting off that helicopter. We apologize for losing that signal there for a little bit. We have another helicopter coming out over us right now, too. Let's see if this one makes a landing at the high school as well. And this is where they are being, we were told this is where they're being medically evaluated at the high school, and then they will be brought over to the elementary school to be reunited with their family. A lot of these families rushing to this small town from all over the state. This was supposed to be a fun experience for these girls, memories to last a lifetime, and unfortunately it was met with some devastation and some really terrifying moments. But I'm telling you, it is actually such a relief to see those children get off the helicopters and get out safely. I mean, this is what everyone has been praying for, truly. We're watching another helicopter land right now, so let's see. It's hard to see. I'm not going to lie, they're behind a fence, so it is hard to see who's coming out of that. But like we said, once they're evaluated here, then they'll be brought over to their parents. And I did see a bus just moments ago pull up, so I'm assuming they'll take some of those kiddos over to be reunited with their parents. And this might have been a quick drop off because this one's going right up in the air. So they are acting quickly here. And we were told also, I want to point out, earlier in the press conference, this operation we were told is going to go into the night as long as it takes to make sure that everyone
13
is
confirmed
safe.
dead, they're saying, guys.
Sarah.
Megan, I want to ask you, because you and I have been talking via text as well, some of these parents of these kids from Camp Mystic, you've been in contact with. Some of these children who have been unaccounted for. Give me that context. You and I haven't had a chance to really talk about it. What have you learned from some of these parents?
Yeah, these parents they're terrified, Henry. I spoke with the father earlier, and I want to be a little cautious. So her name was Lainey Landry. He basically, he of course wants her picture out there, wants to make sure she's okay. He was anxiously waiting by the phone to make sure to see if anyone knew anything, and he was wanting her photo to be shared across social media. It could be very possible that she is on one of these helicopters and is okay, but you could hear the worry, the panic in his voice, and it almost my heart just completely broke speaking with him, and that just gives you an idea of just the fear that these parents that they have, and the devastation that might be going through their minds as they think of the what ifs. But that was just one child, that was just one father I was able to speak with. I also want to an Astros legend who is now no longer plays with the team right now, but Alex Bregman himself even tweeted on X or posted on X about a few girls that are still unaccounted for. He's posting pictures of them on his X profile, just trying to get the word out to see if anyone knows about these young girls. One of them's named Virginia. The other one is named Kellyanne Lytle, both from Camp Mystic. So even a Houston legend, Houston Astros baseball player is posting about some of those girls that were unaccounted for, and that was as recently as 36 minutes ago when he posted about Virginia Hollis asking for people to share and if they knew anything to call the parents. And I will say, in a lot of these posts we're seeing on social media, it has the phone numbers to the parents. Do not contact them unless you know something, because the last thing they want is their hopes to get their hopes up.
So so right now those are the helicopters flying people in. The Camp Mystic situation. It's trending. It's blowing up because apparently it's a private Christian summer camp where they're saying over 23 girls have been declared missing following the flood. Several young campers and the camp director went missing after the cabins were washed away by the flood. So people are making posts. I guess families like, hey, if you know anything, here's some of the posts right now. If you know anything, contact these people. Eloise, Peck, Leila Bonner. Sharing copied info from friends post. Please share. We have a child of a More Supply teammate that is still missing from one of the camps. Please let me know. That's crazy, man. Crazy. Look, people looking for their kids.
Doing okay. Henry, Sarah, I don't know if y'all have any more questions about what we're seeing. I know y'all want to probably keep watching what we're looking at right now.
Incredible images that we're looking at here, Megan, and you being on the ground. I was wondering, so Camp Mystic, the lieutenant governor said, had more than 700 kids, 23 unaccounted for. Are you able to get a number on how many kids have already made it and have been rescued and there? Because Jeremy mentioned there were 30 girls earlier, and now you're seeing all these helicopters coming down. Any idea, have you had a chance to speak with anyone, how many girls have made it on site so far?
We have not, just because we're across the street from, and we don't want to interfere with our operations. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 8 girls get off this helicopter. And then before that, it's probably the same. I would say we're up to like 30, like Jeremy was saying, just from what we've seen in the last, 10 minutes. So there are a lot of people being evacuated. It brings up the question of if the unaccounted for, I guess if they knew that these girls were still on the campground, but they were already in maybe an elevated, safer area, and now they're going in and grabbing them, and who the unaccounted for are. I mean, that's just speculation, of course. We don't know.
Why is this happening just now? Like, why was this done hours and hours ago?
But where that 23 comes in, where that number comes in, it kind of is making me question, because we have seen some reports online. Of course, this is just people that know some of the family members, so not, from the officials,
Megan,
about some
Megan,
of the some of the campsites being swept away.
Megan, I know that you're on the other side, and it's really hard for you to see, but Iris is doing a great job as we're zooming in right now. I want to just walk through our viewers as to what we're seeing, because it looks like that these girls that we're seeing, in several of them from officials, that it looks like they're taking their photo as soon as they just got off the helicopter before they're being medically checked, which is interesting, because I'm assuming that will then just make sure that their parents know that their child is safe. That's very interesting that I've been seeing that as soon as they got off the helicopter. But Megan, I mean, this is just incredible, because this is our first time really seeing this recovery efforts that we've been talking about all day. And it's been nonstop, as you see it.
It has been nonstop. And I just wanted to put perspective on this when I mentioned more than 700 girls at the camp. This is a massive rescue effort, because if you're looking at 7 to 8 girls per helicopter, this is going to go on for hours, and the clock is ticking as the sun is about to set, and also with the rain coming down later today. So this is going nonstop. But my question to you, Megan, was the father that you mentioned speaking to earlier. We know that it sounds like the campground had a list of everyone, because they were able to identify 23 unaccounted for, and officials said they contacted those parents. So it sounds like those parents already know if their kids are not going to be here in these helicopters.
Yeah, they sent that
father that you spoke to, did he give you an idea? I mean, he didn't get any phone calls, right?
No, he didn't. In fact, Sarah, when we spoke, one of the first things out of his mouth was, "Do you know where she is?" So that's kind of the point I was trying to kind of connecting the dots myself there, Sarah, with, we're seeing all these children getting off the helicopter, but yeah, this is likely, these aren't the children that are, being posted online, unfortunately.
Thank you, Ruby. Appreciate the stars, Facebook.
They probably still had kids there, right? 700 that they needed to evacuate.
Right.
But they still have that list of unaccounted for. So,
well,
pretty wild. And by the way, if you didn't know, the FBI issued a warning for 4th of July. Homeland Security said they're enhancing, that they warned about lone wolf attacks. So far, I haven't heard of anything happening, but just of course, like be mindful and stuff like that. I wanted to play this video real quick too, if I could. This is related to the girls that are missing. Oh, it's not gonna play it.
Keynote 2. I'm Zach.
Oh, let me do it over here. I wanted to play this video about the Camp Mystic girls. Here.
Camp.
It's a girls only
This
camp.
came in, or this picture is coming in from our email. Somebody sent this in. As you see, these are a lot of campers that are walking, look like to some kind of shelter. So this is another.
Yeah, and I was just going to jump in just to tell you. So this was sent to us from a viewer, and we appreciate all these pictures. I mean, this is just so compelling here and difficult to see. This is Camp Mystic outside of Kerrville.
That's what it looks like. So I wanted to show you guys too.
This was in the middle of the night. This was like a preemptive. These girls were evacuated, we're told, in the middle of the night. But for those of you who are not familiar, this is described as an expensive girls-only summer camp where many San Antonio families send their girls for camp. And again, there is nothing to indicate that any of these kids are hurt or worse in any way, shape, or form. But this is just a photo that was sent in that's pretty compelling. So this would indicate that at least this particular camp got word, was obviously aware of the situation. But to be clear, these girls are walking in what ankle deep water there,
right there.
And this was in the middle of the night.
Zoom in a little bit more. That is terrifying right there. Can you imagine? It looks like they're all in pajamas trying to get to some type of warm place. So yeah, well, you guys are sending in all of your photos, and I want you to know that we appreciate all of it because it's given us that view of what you are seeing.
Yeah, so that was that clip there. I don't understand why they waited all this time. Like, why now? Now they're doing all this evacuation for the kids and the rescue.
Camp
20
Mystic
plus
is about
unaccounted.
18 miles northwest of Kerrville. It had more than 700 children that have come from all over the state for their summer camp for the 4th of July holiday. So today was supposed to be a celebratory day. I think a lot of the parents,
I didn't know
what is so shocking about this is
I didn't know parents send their kids on 4th of July to summer camp. I thought I figured they'd have off. I didn't know these kids would be out there in summer camp.
to find news like this and the fear and the panic and the pain that a lot of parents are going through right now. And I think that's why the lieutenant governor was trying to reassure parents and say, we feel you. We know if you're anxious right now, we are doing our best to continue our rescue operations nonstop, to get in touch with parents, to try to notify those. And when you really think about it, there's been so much attention on the rescues from Camp Mystic, I think because it involves so many, and a lot of them are children. But if you think about the 85 locations that are impacted with all the floods and the amount of other people that are probably missing in different spots that also include adults and children. And that is another rescue. All these are rescue operations happening right now that we're not looking at. We're just looking at one scene at this point from the so many scenes that are happening all across the hill country and the areas that are flooded.
And again, looking live here at Ingram, you can see that school bus there, what we believe are children from that camp, as well as ambulances right in tow right there, bringing you live coverage right now in Ingram from these kids, from these girls who, as Sarah mentioned, were from Camp Mystic. What an operation, and it has been nonstop. We hear another chopper. Megan, are you seeing another chopper right above you?
Yes, another chopper coming down with what we can assume are a group of young girls that thankfully are being taken to be medically evaluated and are hopefully all doing okay. And I'll say we're seeing, I'm assuming that this process is going pretty quick, considering they got that bus loaded pretty quickly and are bringing them over to their families. So from what we can see, we're assuming that most of these children are okay.
So this is pretty sad, man. I hope that they're found okay, the missing kids. I just saw this post on X. Missing from Guadalupe River floods. So this is Kellyanne Littall. And so this was just posted. There's so many. Yeah, I showed these girls too. Daughters are missing from floods at Camp Mystic in Hunt, Texas. Jeez.
Middle school or so. Have you been able to count how many helicopters you've seen now? How long have you been on the scene?
We probably the last 25 minutes we've been here.
And how many
helicopters do you think, Irissa? Because we've about 10.
Wow.
And it's been nonstop. And what we've been seeing in the past few minutes of this.
Nonstop.
Right.
We see another one coming.
Yeah, it's a lot of helicopters.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Megan.
it's been nonstop. And it's just, no. Yeah, we're going to show you this, another one coming in. And we have some, people in the community even pulling over the man next to me, filming what's going on, because it's just astonishing to watch. We never, hope to see a scene like this, but in a way, it's hopeful knowing that these kids are okay.
There's another girl. I don't know if we showed this one already. I don't think so. This is 9-year-old Lainey Landry. I feel like we've said that name. Is that the same? No, we haven't said that name yet, I guess. 9-year-old Lainey Landry missing.
I mean, this has been a quick operation. They are landing, they're getting the kids out and going right back up into the air, heading back over to Hunt, Texas, and making sure to get as many of those girls safely out of there as they can. And they had to have been there obviously for a long time. It was 5 a.m. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, when the waters really started to rise quickly down at Camp Mystic.
Around that time or a little bit before is what they were saying. They started around 4 in the morning, just before that, Megan. I also just really want quickly, if we have viewers just joining us now at 5:16, as to what we're looking at, live pictures right now in Ingram of recovery efforts underway. Are Megan Reina and Irissa Wheeler both doing an incredible job giving us this first look and perspective of what we're seeing of children coming out of these helicopters, then getting medically checked out, loading onto school buses who are then going to be reunited with their parents. This is at Tom Moore High School in Ingram, right next to Warrior Stadium, is where all of these helicopters are doing these makeshift landings right now. And they've got these line of school buses there waiting, as well as ambulances. And then they're being taken to Ingram Elementary School, where they'll be reunited with their parents, which is just down the street. I understand, Megan.
Yes, just down the street, and a very quick process. They have a pretty efficient process that we've seen unfold here. And another helicopter coming above us. And this one is a bigger helicopter, so we're assuming this does have another pretty large group. We've seen about 7 to 8 girls come off of these helicopters, so they're able to get around 7 to 8 girls at a time, that's pretty good. And we've seen all different age ranges. Like Sarah was mentioning, this camp has 700 girls attending from ages.
Girls only camp.
I don't know the youngest, but we know all the way to high school. If we could get that information actually about how the youngest, the youngest age of those girls that are at this camp, that would be good. But yeah, this has been a very efficient process of them bringing them here, having them medically evaluated, and then they are put on the bus and taken just down the road, not far. That's where the elementary school is. That's where Meredith Haas has been, where it's been emotional for these families that have been reunited with their family members. And there's a lot more people that are starting to just kind of pull over on the road near us just to kind of watch this with their own eyes, because it is pretty fascinating, the operation that they've been able to pull off here in this small town of Ingram, but an important operation nonetheless, and they are doing a phenomenal job from what we have seen, getting these girls to safety.
The affected areas, I believe, is Kerrville, Hunt, Comfort, Center Point, Ingram, and some other sister counties that were affected by life-threatening flooding. Some rural flood plains stretched over a mile from the riverbanks. It says Camp Mystic and nearby cabins were swept away and heavily damaged.
Years from 14 to 17. So easiest to say from 7 all the way to 17 is what we're dealing in terms of age range with these girls and these campers from Camp Mystic.
Let's see where Camp Mystic is.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Seeing the posts that we have seen, I will say a lot of the posts that we've seen online of the families asking for help to locate their missing child have been younger girls. I have not seen any posts or pictures of any older teenagers. They've all appeared to be younger, which might mean that they were all, together in one area, which makes sense because they're separated, of course, by age. So I will point that out. Nothing confirmed as far as any fatalities
Mystic,
and
Guadalupe
correct me if I'm wrong,
River.
nothing confirmed as far as fatalities from Camp Mystic.
That is correct, Megan. The only thing that we know in terms of fatalities is 13, generalized in the area of Kerr County,
Kerr
but
County floods.
specifically for Camp Mystic. All we know at this point was the more than 700 campers, and that there were 23 from the Lieutenant Governor had mentioned that were unaccounted for at this hour. So no fatalities confirmed at this point. You know,
Right.
Megan, something to point out that you had mentioned earlier is we see look, someone being wheeled in a wheelchair right now, just getting off the helicopter.
Yeah, we do see someone being wheeled in a wheelchair.
Yeah, just
Looks like an older
It looks like
gentleman.
an older person.
An older gentleman, perhaps, yeah.
Yes, okay.
yeah, and
May
you-
have been a camp worker or may
camp
have been
worker.
in the area.
Right, and you just think about, Megan, which you mentioned. I
Maybe,
mean, talk
or in an
about
area.
these harrowing hours that these people have been under. You know, and here it is, 5:21. Just that uncertainty, and finally getting to this point of safety to where then they can then get medically checked and then be reunited.
Yeah, it's been over more than 12 hours of a terrifying ordeal for all of these campers, and then you see adults as well, because of course there was staff there. As if we're assuming that that man is a camp worker that works at the campground, but yes, we knew this started around before 5 a.m., maybe 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., and it is now 5:30 or almost 5:30. This has been a long, tough day for a lot of people, especially those campers, and also just want to mention just people in general in Kerr County. What I'm seeing next to me, next to this scene, which I think we can show now, or we are seeing an ambulance being with some lights that's coming kind of towards the high school. But what I'm seeing next to me is the raging waters of the Guadalupe and all of this debris. And that just goes to show in general the destruction that this flood event has left behind. And when we talk about 13 lives, and we don't know if that's from from Camp Mystic at all, or just the camp. And so there's across the county, there's been so much destruction and heartbreak, and it's been a very difficult day here in the Hill Country. But nonetheless, there have been so many people coming together to make sure that they will save as many lives as they can. We have 2 more helicopters heading our way right now.
All right, Megan, we're going to be checking back in with you in just a bit. I know, thank God that the rain is holding off. You can see how dark it's getting. It's getting really cloudy. It looks like it wants to rain.
That's what I was saying. I wonder if more rain is coming
in tonight, but
or
right
another
now
round
the rain
tonight.
is holding off, which is helping with the rescue efforts. We're going to check back in with Megan Reyna in just a few minutes.
But right now we want to go to our colleague, KENS 5 reporter Sue Kalberg, who I understand is in Center Point. Sue, where are you at right now, and what are you seeing?
Henry, I am still in Center Point on the Guadalupe River across from Lions Park, and I have some amazing video that we're going to share with you as the evening progresses. But let me tell you what happened here early this morning. There's a tree way out there in the river that you can see, that a big branch, you can see it's got a wound in it. That is where a young woman was plucked from a tree who came all the way from the Hunt Ingram area. That's like 14 miles away. She went under bridges. She survived incredible odds. She said RVs were floating by her. When I was up here at the bridge a minute ago, somebody said, go get Carl's video, because you won't believe it. This, y'all, is Carl. And everybody here has been telling me this incredible story. They talk all over each other. So I told them, y'all just tell the story, because it's a story of heroism and a miracle, truly. Tell me, Carl.
True miracle. There's no other way to explain it.
You heard her screaming.
I did. We had gone away from the house for a little while because we were afraid the water was coming in our house. And I waited till it was stabilized, and I knew, so I waded back over. I came up on the deck, and she saw me, so she started to scream out loud. And I thought she was in the water going down the river, and I finally looked and was able to spot her in the tree. And so, I began to holler back to her, hey, I see you, we'll get you help. And I called 911, waited about 20 minutes, nobody showed up, and I got in my vehicle, drove down the road to where I knew there were going to be authorities, and I found a DPS agent, and he then videoed or called in and sent some folks over here, but it still took a while. So
and they brought a boat.
They did. We had a little bullhorn. We were hollering back and forth at her to let her know, hey, just hang on, because she was desperate. I mean, desperate. And
then you learned she came all the way from Hunt Ingram?
After they were able to pluck her out, we brought her into our house and gave her a shower, clothed her because it had stripped all of her clothing off, and gave her something to drink, gave her a nap, and then we had a long talk with her. We called her grandmother in Corpus because she's also missing. Her parents were with her at the time. And
sister and aunt and uncle as well.
Yeah.
Sister and uncle. So they were at a campground, and the water came up at, did you say 4 o'clock?
She told us that roughly 4 a.m. they started noticing the water coming up. Her mom and dad got in their car to try and go up the hill to get out of the water. The car was overtaken by the water and stalled out. They had to open the sunroof, climb through the sunroof, and then she said they were able to get on a tree. Her mom and her were clinging to each other. The dad was behind, holding on to them. Water would have been pushing at their back. She said it just kept overtaking them, and eventually they got swept away. She said the dad, they lost him immediately. Her and her mother were able to hang on to each other for a while. Then they got taken under in some sort of a rapid of some kind. They got separated. She said they were screaming back and forth, coming down the river for a period of time. Then she lost her mom. She said that she had clung to a handful of trees. They were small, would ended up getting pushed over and overtaken, and somehow she ended up here.
And so you
found the strength to climb in the tree, you know.
And you said that she went into the water at 4, but you didn't see her until
8 o'clock, a little after 8 o'clock in the morning.
So her adventure was already 4 hours old when you saw her, and then it took a while for the boat to get there.
Exactly, and they're from Midland, so they have no idea about these things. It's it's a new experience for them. Said she came under a couple of bridges. One of them would have had to been on Sidney Baker, and she could see cars passing by. She was waving at them, and she couldn't get anybody's attention, and just continued down the river till she got to this spot. It's miracle. It's an absolute miracle. There's no way you survived that trip. I don't know how she did it. I really don't.
What was in your heart when she made it to dry land or wet land?
Oh my God, we all cheered. I mean, there were several people here, and we all just began to cheer and hoop and holler and carry on. We went down and greeted her and hugged her and got her blankets and towels and stuff, and just she could barely walk at that point. I mean, she was so exhausted and beat up. I mean, she was beat up pretty good. So,
but nothing broken as far as you know.
She had a fairly decent cut on the back of her head that she didn't even know about when the paramedics were checking her out until she took a shower, and she said she put shampoo in her hair and then it started to burn, and then that was when she was just in so much shock that she didn't have a clue what was going on.
Y'all, there's a helicopter overhead. I don't know if you can hear it. So what that says to me is that the rescues and the recoveries and the action is still continuing. We're here in Center Point, and I'm trying to see that helicopter says Texas Department of Public Safety on it. So we've got the video back in the house. If you guys want to edit it, we're going to be with you. We'll share that video as the evening progresses. We'll for certain bring it to you at 10 o'clock. So unless you've got any questions for these guys, we're going to give it back to you in the studio.
What a miracle. What an absolute miracle. I mean, you're talking.
Muted, sorry. That's crazy. Let me just show you guys. There's some more missing girl flyers. It's really sad to see this, but I just want to share it real quick. I'm also retweeting these. So it says, please help find Virginia Hollis. And they put the phone number there. Cabin twins phone number. They put in the phone because these parents are desperate. So they're putting their phone number out there. So she came up. Somebody here posted, these girls were rescued and waiting at a fire station. If anyone knows their families. Sure, they are trying to contact family, but sharing here. And then another girl, I haven't seen this person either. Still missing, Greta Toranzo. All right. That's the update with that. The other thing, so Brandy was asking where the helicopter, like where they rescuing people from. So what I found here, it says Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said 14 helicopters were deployed alongside with 12 drones and 9 rescue teams in the search and rescue effort near Camp Mystic and surrounding areas. Okay, so it says state emergency mobilization. The Texas National Guard, U.S. Coast Guard, and FEMA have been mobilized, supporting helicopter missions, including airlifting campers out of dangerous zones and delivering rescue crews via air. Okay. Helicopters are focusing on zones that are where roads are impassable.
With us, so we were like, okay, what do we do now, you know? But finally we were able to get a hold of her grandmother.
Thank you, Jen.
A cousin and some others, and kept her safe till they got here to pick her up.
The cousin that came from Austin, her mom and dad were the aunt and uncle that are missing.
So lots of tragedy we're going to have as we move forward through this. We don't know how many we have missing. We don't know how many we have unaccounted for. We'll try to figure out more about this young lady and her quest to find her family.
Sue Kalberg, what an incredible story there. Thank you. Exactly what that gentleman said, a miracle.
A miracle. And it's one of the things we've been hearing a lot today is you're hearing a lot of tragedy, but also stories of survival and stories of hope. You know, you're holding on. Don't give up on that hope. And I mean, you're talking about 5 family members. She
is that what it is, Mary?
And now she's missing her mom, her dad. They got separated in the water. They tried to stay together. And her aunt and uncle. So we'll be checking back in. I'm hoping that they end up reuniting.
Let's go back to KENS 5 reporter Megan Reyna in Ingram. Megan, from the last time we saw you, any other new developments? What are you seeing now?
Yeah, I'll get out of the way, of course, so you can see. We just saw a helicopter pull up. We're waiting to see if there's more children coming out. It's been a few minutes since we've seen some more children coming out of these helicopters. If you're just joining us, what this is part of the mission to get the girls out of Camp Mystic to bring them to safety. This is where they're actually landing the helicopters that have the girls on. They're being medically evaluated here at the high school, and then they're being taken down the road to the elementary school. So this is Ingram Tom Moore High School, where they've created this landing spot, and we can see more people are getting off now. And these are more girls, I'm assuming, Irissa? Teenagers, maybe young. We are seeing some adults as well, which of course could be the staff at the camp. And so they are getting off here. They will be medically evaluated. They are having their pictures being taken, and then they're placed on a school bus and taken down the street to the elementary school. And we have another helicopter overhead, so that's why it's loud. But they're being taken to the elementary school where they are reunited with their parents. And this has been a constant operation. Drop them off, get the helicopter back up in the air, head back over to near Camp Mystic, and grab as many people as they can. We've seen probably like 6-7 people at most in a helicopter, and then they drop them off here. And like Sarah was mentioning earlier, 700 girls typically are at this camp.
Wow.
So that is a large camp, ages ranging from 7 to 17. And we know there are, unfortunately, and this is the most heartbreaking, of course, part of this, 23 girls unaccounted for. So the parents that have been notified, the parents that have been notified are the ones that their child is unaccounted. So if you're
Okay, and somebody said why they're taking pictures. I believe is to identify them. I don't know. I'm assuming just to put the picture out to social media. Hey, I'm not sure what's going on, because I would think there would be some type of communication with Camp Mystic and the parents. Like, hey, these are the kids. They have some way to identify them. I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's my assumption, is that they're doing it to identify them. Now, Camp Mystic is a Christian girls summer camp. It's located along the Guadalupe River in Hunt, Texas, and it's been in operation for 100 years. And it's one of the most established private camps in the region. It was founded in 1926. and it's right on the river, surrounded by bluffs, trees, and scenic hill country wilderness. Campers, the ages are typically between 7 and 16. And it says the sessions are 2-week sessions or 4-week session options in June and July. The activities include swimming, canoeing, kayaking, archery, riflery, arts and crafts, dance and drama, Bible studies, and horseback riding. So somebody had said in the chat, somebody said 4,350 for 30 days. I'm seeing here estimated 3,500 to 4,500 for 4 weeks. So it's like a very nice, supposedly very nice camp. Expensive camp, I guess, for the summer.
Newscasts on how serious these floods would be, and so we were curious, what kind of preparations have gone and were put in place to maybe evacuate or at least send that messaging to the organizers of the campground.
Damn, you got to pay for it plus extra for horseback, uniforms, gear, and photos. Man, if I'm paying $3,500 or $4,500, I hope the horseback riding comes included.
Off campers and staff so they can be medically evaluated here at this high school, and then they're back up in the sky heading back to the campground to pick up as many people as they can and hopefully bring them to safety and hopefully be able to provide those parents a big sigh of relief so they can hug their little ones tight. I know that's I'm sure they have just gone through such a hard time today, Sarah.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, a lot of these kids are from out of town. So these parents are probably driving hundreds of miles from Houston, from Dallas, from wherever they.
So everybody's scrambling to come back because I guess since it's a 2-week or 4-week session, these parents, who knows, maybe they weren't even home, maybe they were doing vacation, maybe they were partying, maybe they were doing whatever, while the kids were in the summer camp. This says here too, supposedly that it's popular among the elite and upper middle class Texan families, known for tight-knit friendships, river-centered activities, camp songs / rituals, like final vespers ceremony by candlelight. Many past campers share nostalgic photos and videos of sunset worship, tribe games, and buddy activities.
Recurring theme, whenever we heard from state officials, city officials, from anyone, is if you can't help in any way right now, pray. Prayers are much needed for these families and appreciated for a lot of them. The Lieutenant Governor talked about, the National Guard has been deployed. They have boat rescue teams on the ground. They have helicopter rescue teams, as we've been seeing nonstop for the last couple of hours now. These helicopters coming in and out. First responders, EMTs from many different agencies that are there. Disaster relief on the way. So there are a lot of resources, and at this point, it's just really a matter of wait and see and continuing the rescue efforts.
Yeah, it was hundreds. I mean, I think the Lieutenant Governor had mentioned 400 to 500 boots on the ground right now. And as we're seeing live pictures here with DPS is just all in around that area here in Ingram. But, Megan, what's interesting, though, from your point with these helicopters, because I think the Lieutenant Governor had mentioned that they had 14 helicopters being used right now in this rescue efforts. It seems like, it's just like within 5 to 10 minutes, you would say, right? How fast they keep coming to land at the high school.
Yes, it is very quick. They are very swift. They've got an efficient system here, and it seems to be working. So our kudos, our hats off to all of those first responders, especially those pilots that are working those helicopters, because they are doing, and in my personal words, the Lord's work, getting those children to safety and being able to reunite them with their parents. And so right now it's a little bit of a pause, right? We're still waiting. Those last few helicopters went back in the air. So there's a little bit of a pause right now. We do still see a heavy law enforcement presence, first responder presence here. And what we also see, and as while we're kind of waiting to see if we see more helicopters come back, is the debris left behind from all of this rainwater and this flood water. You can just see the power of the water from all this debris. And the river next to me, the Guadalupe River next to me, is still raging. The water is still flowing. The good news, I will say, is the rain has stopped. And I kind of forgot about it because you get so used to kind of standing in the rain. But the rain has stopped. And that has, been a relief, of course, because we want to continue to see this river recede. But you can see all of the damage left behind from all of the cracked trees and all that. Just even the debris that has been picked up from these raging floodwaters, which has, of course, caused devastation and 13 lives lost. And I want to say again, we have not been able to confirm any of those fatalities from Camp Mystic, but 23 girls have been unaccounted for. Their parents are aware that they are unaccounted for, and we have seen several posts on Facebook asking people to help if they know anything to call them. We've even seen celebrities sharing those posts, including the former Astros player, Alex Bregman. So it has been, I think there's people across the country right now praying for this community.
Yeah, and as Henry, made a really good point earlier. He said the juxtaposition of looking at these pictures here where you are, Megan, on one side, you're seeing the helicopters landing, makeshift, in makeshift landings that they're making. And then when you really look at the amount of damage right across the street from there, just gives you an idea that this is really a treacherous environment that they're in right now, that they're having to navigate through while the rain is holding off as we speak. But there's another round, Bill was saying, that is going to move in overnight.
Oh, yeah,
so we know that the rescue effort at this point, state officials told us we're going to take several days. From the way things look, how widespread the damage is, how high the water is all over the area, 85 locations at least being impacted. This is going to be a multi-day rescue effort. We have no idea how many people are missing at this point. So there's really, I think...
Well, what we do know is that at least, from Camp Mystic, at least 20 people are unaccounted for in the flooding. So we're learning then that could include, new information. We're just learning 4 young adults from the Beaumont area, 3 graduates of Monsignor Kelly High School. Also missing is a friend of theirs. These are just new images in from some of the missing from Beaumont. Again, these are loved ones. These are sons, these are daughters, these are nieces, these are nephews. As we're looking at these images for the first time, families, we're told, have been identified them as L.F. Hayhill, Aiden Hartfield, Joyson Baden, and Reese Moncheca. These 4 were last heard from about 4 this morning as they tried to get to a higher ground, as I'm reading here, on Highway 39. This is in Hunt.
And so far, every family that we have heard from is from out of town. They're all vacationers here for the 4th of July. So you're seeing a lot more people that are in this area than there typically is. You're not just looking at the local residents. It's a small population. Now you're looking at all the visitors are coming in from out of town. Beaumont for those pictures. And then Sue, we just heard from the family in Midland with now 4 people missing and 1 woman out of the family members making it. Where Megan is, a lot of these kids are, coming in from different places as well. So we're getting a lot of stories. Now we're beginning to see some faces and put faces to the numbers. And at this point, holding out hope. Hope is everything right now for these families to reunite and that these people will be found, Bill.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, man, my heart breaks seeing those faces. We're just going to keep praying. All right, let's take a look at the radar. The good news is the rain ending for now. I'm watching 2 little clusters you can see dropping just near Fredericksburg. Very heavy rainfall. This shows you that this atmosphere is far from dried out. We still have a lot of tropical moisture. We've got a lot of high dew point temperatures at the surface. And by tonight, the low-level jet returns. And that is a nocturnal weather feature at about 8,000 feet above the surface. That is a high wind speed, kind of a ribbon of air that moves right across this area and creates a tremendous amount of instability. And that's what leads to those heavy pockets of rain, that true rain bomb that we saw occur early this morning. So that's what we're expecting again overnight tonight. But right now, this heavy rain dropping in near Fredericksburg, this is a strong thunderstorm, and you can see the amount of lightning building. So this is actually strengthening and building as it drops to the south near Fredericksburg. Also, Marble Falls will be getting some pretty heavy rain. But for Kendall County, it's more light to moderate. This could be moving a little farther south. After moving through Fredericksburg, it could be into Kendall County. We're going to be keeping a close eye on that and closer even to Canyon Lake. But for San Antonio and some spots to the south, it's drying out. What got us here? Take a look. This is when the rain started and really just exploded at about 5, 6 a.m. Look at that. Rain was already occurring, and then it just sat over Kerrville for so long that we get into those double-digit rainfall totals. You can see that this, again, is updating all the time, a continuous update. We're closer to an inch now at San Antonio International, over 3 near Fair Oaks Ranch, and then nearly 8 at Bandera. Now the bullseye remains west of Kerrville. The double-digit totals, nearly a foot of water came from the sky. You've got 6.5 near Bandera, 5 near Medina, Texas, and then you've got 4.5 plus near Bernie, and then east of Comfort, 7.5 inches. So that's why the Guadalupe River is the biggest concern, with the rising water heading towards Canyon Lake, and we still have a huge flash flood warning in effect for areas west of Kerrville, pretty much western Kerr County. If you're unfamiliar with the area, remember, we are in Bexar County, B-E-X-A-R, watch versus warning. A watch means exactly what the word says. We're watching as conditions are favorable for storm development or possible flooding. When we go to warning, that means the storm has moved in. The flooding is occurring in that area.
Those forecasts are from your town?
Speaking of which, let me update you on what we've got with the river levels. At the Guadalupe River at Spring Branch, it's still rising. We're expecting major flooding at 37.2 feet at 3 a.m. Saturday. So after midnight is when the Spring Branch location of the Guadalupe River is going to crest at 37.2. At Bergheim, 41.85. Now, I could not find a flood stage for the Guadalupe at Bergheim, but if you remember 2018, the level got up to 39.02, and we're coming up on 42 feet, and it's cresting as we speak. So that's good news. It won't go higher unless we get a lot more rainfall tonight and tomorrow morning. I'll show you future radar in a moment. At Comfort, almost 35 feet. It's already crested. Flood stage 21. So look at that, almost 35 feet. And then at Kerrville, we've already crested at 23.4, but the flood stage is 9. This is incredible when you look at this number. The river rose, Guadalupe, 26 feet in 45 minutes. That is a higher level than the 1987 flood. And now there's more rain in the forecast. Here's what we've got for 3 a.m. and that crest at that hour, right? I just showed you. Well, you can still see rain falling over that spot. Okay, and as we work our way into the sunrise hour, this is 7 a.m., and we start seeing thunderstorms develop, and that's going to be near New Braunfels and Canyon Lake, and then pushing west into the city and the 281 corridor up into Kendall County and even into Blanco County. This is mid-morning now, and then Saturday afternoon, look at that. It just sits still. Okay, so you go from 11 a.m. where it's gotten really heavy. This is the 3 p.m. and it hasn't moved much. This could be 4 solid hours of very heavy rain in northern Bexar County up into Kendall County, clipping Kerr County, not hitting the bullseye I showed you, which is still out to the west, but awfully close. Remember, this is a prediction. It could happen there. It could happen here. But I'll tell you what, this model has done an incredible job in the last 48 hours. Most of it dying down as we get into the nighttime hours tomorrow.
There's another girl too, Mary Grace Baker. Seeing these flyers coming up everywhere now. Texas Hill Country flooding. Missing Camp Mystic. My daughter was in the twins' cabin her first year at Camp Mystic. That's one of the cabins that the youngest girls at camp go to. Man.
30 miles in the course of several hours. So that's very slow moving, and that's still very heavy rainfall rates. This is all tropical. So either way, here's what to take away. Both models agree we're going to get a burst of more heavy rainfall. The difference is just the timing and the exact location, but they're both within a county or two of each other. So we're still looking at the I-35 to I-10 corridor, and really nothing south. I mean, if you're south of San Antonio, you're out of the woods on this, but it's really between I-35 and I-10 that we're expecting this burst of very heavy rain. This is the prediction for tonight. On the Severe Prediction Center's flood outlook, we're in a level 2, a slight risk, and then a marginal risk south of the city into Atascosa County, Wilson County. Tomorrow, a marginal risk with the slight risk up towards Kerrville. This is Saturday, and about half almost 2/3 really, of Kendall County. Now, don't get lost in these words. Marginal and slight doesn't sound serious. But when you're talking about a 1 and a 2 level out of a possible 5, 5 is the top. 1 or 2 is significant. Slight is significant. Here's the latest numbers on what we're expecting in the gauge. And this has been improving with every run. This keeps dropping in Kerrville, and that's really good news. Now, just about 3 hours ago, this was at 1.25 inches. It's now down to 0.05. So significant change with the model really zoning in on most of the rain from San Antonio up the I-35 corridor, 2 3/4 up to 3 inches New Braunfels, almost 4.5 between San Marcos and Austin. That would be good in the sense that if it all falls here, it's not falling here, okay? Because they could probably handle a lot more rain than Kerr County, Kendall County, even Medina County. Outside right now, we're pretty socked in here in the city. Temperature is at 80. Light rain continues to fall in San Antonio, dew point 77. Tropical, just does not change. And remember, this is not a cold front, so we don't change air masses. We continue to see southeast winds pour in a lot of this moisture, although we're getting a little bit of a northeast wind right now. 75 Bandera, Bernie, 80 at Timberwood Park.
Okay.
As warm as 86 at Pleasanton. We're starting to cool down now. We were closer to 90 about 2 hours ago for Floresville and Stockdale. All right, if you're heading out, I just got off the phone with Bill Drain. Bill Drain is my man, executive producer of a lot of our city events. So I reached out to see about the Woodlawn Park firework and celebration for the 4th, as well as the Alamo.
I should cancel the fireworks.
My name is Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor, Acting Governor. The governor's out of state today on a day which is usually for celebration. It's a very tough day in Texas. We had a disastrous flash flood that hit somewhere around 4 in the morning. The rain came down 12 inches or more per hour. Within 45 minutes, the Guadalupe River, and many people watching or listening know that they have, maybe in the past, when they were younger, or taking their kids or grandkids down, you've tubed down the Guadalupe. That river rose 26 feet in 45 minutes. It was a dry bed. It had been dry. There wasn't a lot to absorb it. It went down the rocks, and it was a destructive flood, taking property and sadly lives. I know that there are anxious parents watching, wanting information. We have the best rescue teams and response teams in the world in emergencies. Currently, we have 14 helicopters in the air. I've been receiving calls on my personal cell from people who know someone or have someone that was in one of these summer camps. We do not need anyone showing up with a drone. We do not need any more personal helicopters. I know it's been offered. We do not need more additional air assets. We have 14 choppers in the air. It gets dangerous even with that many flying. So I know some of you have said, oh, we can be there, we can help. We do not need any more helicopters or drones flying in the area. We have 14 choppers, as I said, 12 drones, 9 rescue teams, swimmers in the water, rescuing adults and children out of trees. We have 400 to 500 people on the ground from all of our various units, and Freeman Martin, our director of DPS, can talk about the various units who are there. For the parents who are waiting, particularly that had children in Camp Mystic. Camp Mystic is a camp that has over 750 kids. Right now there are 20-some that aren't accounted for. That does not mean they've been lost. They could be in a tree, they could be out of communication. We're praying for all of those missing to be found alive. We're doing everything we can to get in there. We have the game wardens. You were the colonel of the game wardens, Pete. walking in by foot, driving, dropping in the water, whatever we can do to find everyone we can. That camp is divided into 2 banks. For those of you, parents who have children at Camp Mystic, this is a notice they sent out. They know all of the names of the parents, all the email addresses, all the phone calls, all the cell numbers so they can make the calls. Their following message: we have sustained catastrophic level of flooding. We have no power, water, or Wi-Fi. All Cypress Lake campers are accounted for. So if your child was in Cypress Lake, that camp is divided into certain areas. All Cypress Lake campers are accounted for. All campers on Senior Hill are accounted for. If your daughter is not accounted for, you have been notified from the camp. If you have not been personally contacted, then your daughter has been accounted for. I want to repeat that. And this is not from the state, not from the government. This is from the camp director on the ground. If you have not been personally contacted, then your daughter is accounted for. Instead of telling 700 or 800 parents your daughter is accounted for, they're calling those parents with the news that their daughter is not accounted for yet. They're working with the search and rescue with the state, obviously, and I know I've had parents. I have 8 grandchildren. I know if it was one of my children, I would be tempted to want to drive there from Houston as well. But we're asking people to stay away from the areas. There's flooding in many roads are impassable, major roads, minor roads. And once we're able to get some of those roads clear, when the rain stops, then we have 10 buses ready to go in and pick up the kids, and we'll find a point and announce it at that time where you can be reunited with your child and hug them hard, because you know they're frightened. But again, out of the over 700, we have a number of about 23 not accounted for. Yesterday, Jay Hall, who is Region Director 6, personally contacted the judges and the mayors in that area and notified them all of potential flooding. This storm, we had an area bracketed from San Angelo to Waco, down to San Antonio, Kerrville, all the areas. Not exactly sure where it would land. Some forecasts started coming together late, showing where it might land. But yesterday morning, the message was sent. It is up to the local counties and mayors under the law to evacuate if they feel a need. But that information was passed along because we were unsure of where the storm might land. Nim Kid, who is on the ground there, I'm heading to Kerrville after this, and I will join out there at the emergency center. We started moving assets in various areas, not knowing where it would be, but in various areas on Friday, so that in the event, wherever the storm hit and wherever the flooding occurred, if it was flooding, that we would be on the ground as close as we could be, as fast as we could be. This is an area that has lots of camps, thousands of children throughout those camps, especially in the summertime on the 4th of July weekend. The main area that we have heard from so far is the Camp Mystic area. We have not had reports from other camps at this point of a loss, but that does not mean there has not been. We just have not had any report. There have been confirmed deaths. That number changes, and the one thing I've learned in this position over many disasters that Governor Abbott or I have had to cover, the first news is always not the correct news. And you always pray for it being better. But I'm not going to give exact numbers, but we don't have exact numbers, but somewhere between 6 and 10 bodies have been found, some in cars that were washed down upstream that came down into the area. Some are adults, some are children. Again, we don't know where those bodies came from, and Was it from camp? Was it from one of the many homes that are all along the Guadalupe River? We just obviously don't know that at this time. I want to turn it over to our Director, Freeman Martin, to talk about our response from DPS and the other agencies.
Governor, thank you. This is it's a tragic event. It's going to be a mass casualty event. We know that. We prepared. We moved resources into the area. This is a Texas response. This is not DPS. This is the Texas Military Department, Texas Department of Public Management. We have Parks and Wildlife. We have every local agency in the area. We're working hand in hand with the Kerr County Sheriff, the San Antonio Police Department, really the San Antonio region. There were many, many cities and law enforcement agencies and first responders self-deployed. So we have plenty of resources on the ground. Lieutenant Governor mentioned over 500 boots on the ground. Texas DPS alone, we have over 100 troopers, agents, and rangers on the ground. We have 7 helicopters. We're supported by 5 TMD helicopters and 2 Parks and Wildlife helicopters. We have planned for shifts. We're going to work throughout the night. So when we started this at 4 o'clock in the morning, we've been working this all day. We've got a B shift and a C shift that are going to come in and relieve, so there won't be a gap in the search and rescue operations. But the governor said it accurately, is there's too many unknowns, and there's information that sometimes it sounds conflicting. You have a report that there's 20 people missing from one camp, and then you have a report that everybody's accounted for. Well, there's 2 camps that are split with the same name. So we don't want to get in front of that. It's taken some time to get in there with all the resources we have. As bad as the storm was this morning, our helicopters had a hard time getting in. And so a lot of people that were cut off, they were counted as missing. They don't have self-service or electricity, but they're on high ground and they're safe. So we have gotten to several of these where there's as many as 200 in one location. Wow. We're able to bring in food and water and supplies to them, where it's just taking time to get them out of there. At the same time, there's other camps where we know their people are missing, and there's search and rescue operations going on. Parks and Wildlife using their boat teams, some of our tactical marine assets. They go as far as they can go, and then they go on foot the rest of the way. So it's not easy. But we're making progress and hope to have better numbers later this afternoon. As the Lieutenant Governor said, we'll be on the ground here shortly with our first responders there in Kerrville. I know there's reunification centers stood up, one in Ingram at the elementary school at 125 West Brave Run in Ingram. There's another one at the Arcadia Live Center on Walter Street in Kerrville. And then there's media staging at the Hill Country Youth Event Center in Kerrville, where there'll be a media press event later on. A couple things. Lieutenant Governor said we don't need any more first responders. We don't need anybody to self-deploy. We don't need any more drones or helicopters. We don't need people just showing up. This is a very coordinated response. Stay away from the area if you can. Stay home with your families. That's the right thing to do, to stay out of this area. There's working with TxDOT, we know there's over 85 locations that have been impacted by high water, and at least 25 roads shut down. Right now, the rain has let up, but we know there's another wave coming, and then there's going to be some more impact downstream later tonight and tomorrow that we're concerned about. So we'll continue to work with locals. We're also doing rescue operations and evacuation operations in Tom Green County and Kimball County. We're concerned about San Saba downriver, so there will be more notifications coming out. If you're asked to evacuate, please evacuate. If you are on a roadway and you see water, you have no idea how deep that water is or how swift it is. Stop, turn around. Do not try to cross water if you don't know, you can't tell how deep it is. But the best advice is stay home. And I know y'all want numbers. I wish we had numbers. Those numbers change frequently. Like I said, some people are reporting as missing, and they're not missing. They were evacuated. They're safe. They just didn't. No family member is concerned, not knowing where they are. So, with that, Governor, I'll turn it back over to you.
I do want to mention before I turn it over to Pete that I was in touch with the governor early this morning with Senator Ted Cruz. We've been in touch tried to reach out to the sheriff, or not tried, reached out to the sheriff and the county judge in Kerr County, and understandably they're busy, not answering their phone. They're getting a lot of calls from a lot of people, but that's why we're going down there. But we are in touch between our departments. We are in touch with them. We've had multiple calls from the White House today. I've talked to several people at the White House. The president has sent the message, whatever we need, we will have. We are sending in the Army Corps of Engineers, which is one of the requests we made, to look at the dam at Canyon Lake, to make sure that dam holds. I just had a meeting with them before I came out here. I said, is the dam safe? And they said, it is safe, sir. I said, safe tomorrow? It is safe, sir. I said, well, if anything changes on that, you call me on speed dial immediately. But right now, the Army Corps believes that dam will hold and is safe as we sit here today. We're also expecting more rain and potential flash flooding to the Waco area, San Antonio, Austin overnight. That would not be, that would be localized flooding where, as the director said, you don't want to be driving in deep water. We could have heavy rain in those areas, but even in the Kerrville area, even if it's not a heavy rain, just a few inches of rain is going to only make the situation worse. Let me turn it over to Senator Pete Flores, who represents that area, along with House Member Wes Verdell, who reached out to me earlier today. I know he's from Brady. I don't know if he's waterlocked or not, because some of those roads are cut off, but we appreciate him reaching out. Senator Flores.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and thank you all for being here. And the first comment to make is prayers for our affected Texans, and to make sure that they come out of this event with their lives. And for the first responders that are out there, especially the local ones who were there first, we want to always recognize that they mostly voluntarily step up for their fellow citizens, and they're the first ones there and the last ones to leave. My role is to work with the governor and work with the state agencies to make sure that our affected areas get what they need. And thank God we are in Texas, because Texas.
Okay, let me pause this. Let's see what's going on with this live feed.
And we're like, there's
More
something
rescues.
going on here, and so we knew that this was absolutely.
What's up, everybody? Welcome for the
necessary
new
to
people.
watch. And what are you seeing
I had
right
to
now,
drop the other
Irissa?
streams
I know
because my connection was acting crazy.
several kids.
So to save the YouTube stream, I had to disconnect
and
the other
teenagers.
ones. I might connect back in a while,
coming
but
off. Then we were seeing probably what, like 8. There's a lot on this that were on this helicopter. Just take a moment to watch.
They're still bringing in
these
kids.
Children come off. What they're going to be medically evaluated at this high school, and they're going to have their photo taken. That's what we've seen from the first responders. And then they're going to be loaded onto a school bus and taken to that reunification center, which is at the elementary school just down the road, where so many parents are waiting to be reunited, to be able to hug their loved ones, to hug their babies and just be able to be reunited. And I know this has been a nightmare for those parents, many of them from out of town, probably the majority of them from out of town, I'd say, because looking online, Camp Mystic is a popular, well-known camp that girls attend from across the state, Dallas, Houston, West Texas, across the state. So we have parents from all over that had to wake up to a terrifying news and rush down here and try and make sure that their child is safe. Here's another helicopter that is coming in. I mean, this has been a very quick and swift system and operation that they have here, having these helicopters come, land, drop the kids off, have them evaluated, have them taken to their parents, and then they get right back up into the air and go pick up another group of people. And we know that there's been, I mean, from what we were told from the lieutenant governor, I think, what, like 10, 13, 15 helicopters that they've deployed in Kerr County. We've definitely seen, it's kind of hard to count exactly how many are coming in and out because they look so similar. But we've seen about at least 5 helicopters that have been used here in this operation to help get all of these campers and the staff out of Camp Mystic, which just for the people that might be just joining us in, that's near Hunt, Texas, which isn't too far from where we're at. We're at Ingram right now, off of Highway 39, and then just Hunt is just down the road, just a little bit, I would say, to the west of where we're at, not far. And so they're just coming back and forth consistently to make sure that those campers are safe. We do have to point out 23, according to the Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, 23 campers or people from Camp Mystic are unaccounted for, and we have seen several posts on social media from parents who are asking and pleading with anyone with information to call them. They're putting their personal numbers on the social media to the world because they're so desperate for answers, and we can only assume that's because they were told by the Camp Mystic officials that their child is one of the unaccounted, because the ones that we were told, those parents were notified. If they were unaccounted, they were notified. And the parents that didn't receive that phone call, they were then urged to show up to the reunification center and are now being reunited with their child. And we have been watching this go on for more than an hour, but it could have been going on before that. That's just when we finally, were able to make it down here and witness this operation unfold. I also want to mention we've seen several military cargo trucks drive in and out or back and forth, I can assume from the Hunt area to Ingram on 39, full of people on the back of the cargo trucks. And they look like families. So maybe not necessarily from Camp Mystic, but from other areas. So while we're focusing on this specific rescue mission at Camp Mystic, there are so many different missions going on across Kerr County in the Hill Country right now on the foot. We've seen several rescue boats drive by, rush by, and so this is an ongoing situation unfolding that all hands on deck, boots on the ground to try and make sure to get as many people to safety as possible.
Yeah, still
while
missing.
we have a break in the rain, might I add, because that has been very welcomed. Very nice to see a break in this rain. However, I will, as we see this helicopter get back up in the air, which it's going to go probably, we can assume, just right back over to the camp. Just pan over real quick, Irissa, if you could, to the river, because it's still raging. The Guadalupe River is still raging, even with this break in the rain. And yes, it has receded. And because it's receded a bit, we're seeing the damage and the debris left behind. But this is just showing you just the power of this water and how dangerous it can be, and how important it is to get people away from the river as quickly as possible with what Bill Taylor was mentioning, another chance of another round of rainfall. And that is, the last thing these first responders need. So I know right now is crucial for them, because this is the time that they can really focus on getting as many people to safety as possible. And that includes all of those young girls, ages 7 to 17 at Camp Mystic. We know that camp can hold up to 700 girls at a time. We're going to continue to stay out here, of course, and follow these developments here. The helicopters just left, so it is quiet now. But we'll continue to, just stay out here and explain what we see, at least.
All right, Megan, thank you for that report. Just incredible there, because we've been seeing just the operation just nonstop. At this point, we've seen at least dozens of these rescues live on the air here at KENS 5 of these girls getting out of the chopper, getting, medically checked, and then, of course, that big sweet reunion with their family members at Ingram Elementary, which is, I can just only imagine these families feeling that relief, but also the other families who are still have the children unaccounted for. I do understand we do have our colleague, Zach Briggs, also in Kerrville. And Zach, I understand you're at the area where we are expecting a news conference here at 7:30.
Right. That's right, Henry. It's been a few hours since we heard from City of...
Yeah, so the next press conference is 7:30 Central, from what I heard, and that's going to be 8:30 p.m. Eastern. They're going to have an official press conference coming up. And so, yeah, those kids are still missing. Details
surrounding potentially more fatalities. Those are unaccounted for. Details surrounding evacuation centers. Again, during times like this is when communities come together. I did hear from one of my contacts with the nonprofit organization based out of Dallas, Texans on Mission, formerly known as Texas Baptist Men. And it's when tragedies strike here in Texas, across the country, and around the world, when this particular nonprofit comes together and deploys crews to impacted areas. They've responded to disasters ranging from Hurricane Katrina to the war in Ukraine, helping refugees in Poland, and now they have crews on standby and ready to go to assist people impacted by what's been going on with this flooding here in Kerrville and surrounding communities. I heard from John Hall with Texans on Mission about an hour ago, and he said they will be deploying Monday morning. They will be assisting with a host of operations, meeting with families, businesses that might be impacted, really emphasizing the cleanup effort. So they have crews ready to go. In fact, they do have some affiliates already on the ground. They have chaplains serving in Kerrville throughout the community, providing that sense of relief and praying with those as they await answers regarding their missing loved ones, answers regarding the status of their home that they evacuated many hours ago, many this morning. And back here at the Hill Country Youth Event Center, we've been noticing a lot of DPS troopers making their way into the facility. A lot of state officials, it appears, with tech equipment. They're getting ready for a press conference in the next hour. We do know that there's going to be one this evening, TDEM. I believe the governor's going to be in town as well. It's going to be around, I think, 9 o'clock. I did see Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick make his way into this building about 30-40 minutes ago. He had nothing to say but a greeting with me. So we're hoping to hear also from an update from the Lieutenant Governor when it comes to the devastation that's impacted this community. But for now, once again, 13 fatalities. That number
13.
Expected to rise, sadly, but our thoughts and prayers are certainly with those affected.
All right, Zach Briggs out in Kerrville, thank you. And hopefully we'll be able to get a number on the missing from the Lieutenant Governor. We'll know more. Want to check in with Sue Kalberg, who's out in Center Point with an incredible story. People calling it a miracle. And you have some incredible video to share with us as well, Sue.
Yes, I promised you the video earlier. We have processed it. The reason that we couldn't run it right away is that we wanted to protect the privacy of this young woman. And if there's any hope in this story, it's that this 22-year-old woman went into the water in the Ingram, Texas area, which is about 20 miles upstream. So all those parents who are waiting for word, there's one miracle story that a woman who was swept away up there ended up here. Let's get right to that video so you can see what happened at around 8 o'clock this morning after the girl was swept all the way from Ingram all the way to Center Point, Texas. The homeowner here says he went out on his deck and he heard somebody screaming for help. And when he came out on his deck, he had to look way across the river. And when he did, he looked into the trees and he saw this woman being sheltered by a huge cypress tree. One limb had already been ripped off and another was about to be ripped off, but she had been in the tree for several hours at that point already because she was swept out of her campground, out of her tent at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so he heard her screaming. He came out here. He started calling back to her. He said, "I hear you. I see you." He called for help. He didn't have any luck getting response from 911. So he actually went down the street, flagged down a law enforcement person, said, "Hey, there's a girl in a tree over here." They sent boats. They sent a couple of boats. They had to figure out a way to get the boats down to river level. And of course, the river was still high at that point. They got to her and she had to drop into the boat because by the time the boat got here, the water had receded 10 or 12 feet. They say she jumped from that tree and face planted into that rescue boat, and they were able to bring her back to shore. Now, the tragedy here is that this young lady was swept away with family members. When she left here, she didn't know the fate of her family members, her mom, her dad, and other relatives that were swept away. They tried to get away in a car, and they were swept away from far upstream in Ingram, Texas. So the homeowner here says that after they got this girl out of the boat, they brought her up here into the house. The firefighters, the paramedics checked her vitals. She had a few bumps and bruises, and they said that was amazing because she had gone over 4 dams and been dropped. She told them the story of fighting refrigerators, dodging recreational vehicles as she traveled down that long 20-mile stretch of being wiped away. So when she got here, she was checked up by the paramedics. She had a few bumps and bruises, a few scrapes, but the medics had to go on. The rescue personnel had to go on. So they left her here in this home with the lovely neighbors who heard her call for help and responded. And these kinds of hero stories are being reported and being repeated throughout the hill country. And if there's any hope at all that somebody could still be out there in the floodwater as the waters continue to recede and as property owners begin to check their property, that's the hope of it all, that the missing people are out there somewhere and that somebody will hear their cry for help and that some of these people who are missing will still be recovered. We are live for the moment in Center Point, Texas, on the Guadalupe River, right across from Lions Park. It's an area lots of people have picnicked and camped. It's a free place to enjoy the Guadalupe River, so lots of people know exactly where this spot is. So we will continue to follow this story and track the river as we head back towards San Antonio this evening. Live in Center Point, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
Simply no words for that story. Thanks so much, Sue. Truly a miracle.
A silver lining
what a journey.
in what has been a dark day.
What has been a dark day, and there's still hope out there, as Sue mentioned. We want to get to Weather Chief Bill Taylor because, Bill, as we just talked about just minutes ago, I mean, you said we're not in the clear just yet. It's not over.
No, it's not. There's so much tropical moisture still in place. I've got a strong thunderstorm near Fredericksburg right now, and we're expecting more to develop overnight tonight into Saturday. So we're far from over with this, and a flash flood watch remains in effect. You can see this cluster now, again, east-southeast of Fredericksburg, pretty much right along areas of eastern Gillespie County, about to drop into Kendall County and holding together. This is a pretty strong thunderstorm, non-severe. Remember, we will not see hail or damaging winds or anything tornadic with anything that develops. These are all just
catastrophic flooding occurring across portions of Texas Hill County, flowing at over 109,000 cubic feet per second, when 5 hours ago it was 500. Take a look at this. No audio. It's just a drone. It's a lot. Flash flood watch tonight until 7 p.m. Central. Off that bridge, whatever you're standing on. Texas Military Department says the National Guard was activated yesterday as part of a multi-agency response to severe weather conditions affecting the Hill Country. That's a response, man. It's crazy. It's crazy out there in Texas, man. This is a rescue video right here. Rescue video. Let's do the kids. About the Helicopter rescues. That is crazy. Hopefully those kids are okay. I don't know. Oh, disconnect, huh? Okay, let me just do another scan. So they're going to do another press conference in an hour, an official press conference coming in an hour. Let me see if I see anything else about Camp Mystic. What a horrible, horrible situation.
Henry, Sarah.
All right, Bill,
this
thank you.
was
What
crazy,
started
too.
as
This one, this video I've seen everywhere. It says, pray for these boys at Camp La Juanita. Woke up and their trunks were floating. Climbed onto the rafters and the whole cabin floated away. Luckily, the tree stopped it. Let's take a look.
Viewing that, thank you.
There's people in it.
Oh my God, there's so many people in it. Please tell me you're getting this on video. Yeah, camp's over. Please tell me you're viewing that, thank you.
There's people in it.
Oh my God, there's so many people in it. Please tell me you're getting this on video. Yeah, camp's over.
That's wild to see.
Those areas where those helicopters have been landing, rescuing those campers. This is at Ingram High School at Warrior Stadium right now. Again, this is a live picture, and it's been nonstop. I mean, we've seen those helicopters just keep going within the 5 to 10 minutes, and those campers will get out of the helicopter, then they'll be medically checked into an ambulance, and then they load onto a school bus, which then they will reunite with their families at Ingram Elementary. I mean, this whole day has just been a day of tragedy. We have been with you nonstop and will continue to be. But, you know, it's just one of those things, Sarah, that when you think about just the response, and we've only seen just a part of that response.
That's
that
right.
We're talking about when we're seeing 14 helicopters in the air, the local officials on the ground, 500 boots on the ground across the state trying to get to people in these types of conditions.
Right. National Guard has been deployed. We heard that from the state earlier. Boat rescues, helicopter rescues, and a lot of the focus has been on Camp Mystic because of the amount of people involved. More than 700 kids were there, a lot of them children. Again, that's 23 unaccounted for. So there's a lot to cover. We've heard a lot of harrowing stories.
Yes.
We have seen some miracles. There is hope. A lot of those who are unaccounted for, you could still be reunited, is what we're hoping for as these rescues continue. Thank you for staying with us over the last 14 hours for nonstop coverage. Our live teams have been all over the Hill Country as we cover what is being called a mass casualty event and catastrophic flooding.
And we will bring you live coverage at 7:30 for a local news conference, and then at 9 o'clock, officials will also be giving us an update. We'll have it at KENS 5 Plus and all of our digital platforms as well.
We're going to be here with you throughout the night for KENS 5 News at 10 for the rescues, the damage, and the plan on what's next.
Pretty wild. So no new news. Let me take a look at Facebook. No new news on did they find these kids or what's going on? And they got off. Okay. Yeah, missed it. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do then. I'm thinking, well, let me see what else I can find as far as just clips and stuff. And then I think maybe we'll come back for the press conference. In an hour. Yeah, let me do that. Let me set that up. That is crazy, man. I got this somewhere. Let's see what this is while I set it up. Live feed. That way I can reset my modem. Oh, oh, these are like buses coming in. Same feed. Let's try this. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna schedule this for an hour. We'll come back and we'll cover the pressure, and I'll do a little reset on the modem. Hopefully, that'll fix things. $8:30. All right, guys, and I'll redirect. Let's see. You guys be safe, man. 4th of July. Be safe. You know, I put out a warning. I'm gonna be chilling. Maybe Saturday. I think Saturday we're gonna go do something. I might see though if somebody's doing some fireworks outside. I'm gonna go outside for a little bit or a little drive, but I'm not gonna do nothing crazy. I'm not going to any large crowds. No. All right, guys. I'll see you in a bit. Thank you so much for the live stream. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope that those kids are found safe. There's like 14's missing too, and those bodies that were found, I think they were saying they're not sure where they came from. You know, so that's the other thing. And I still have to update the fire stuff. There's so much with those explosions. Maybe after 8:30 tonight, after we do the press conference, I'll work on updates for the second channel for iCkEdMeL clips. I'll see if I can do some updates for the second channel because I know some people have been asking about it. The lady passed away. Oh, it wasn't the lady who died in LA fireworks explosion. They found a 30-year-old male in the White House. Okay. I mean, in the house. I said White House.